Now, this issue of femicide is no longer interesting anymore. It's not something to laugh about. It's not something to talk it about like it is the prostitution. We start blaming on the children. It is no longer something we can take it lightly. And it's funny enough that the government has kept quiet about it. And worst of all, no church has raised a hand about this issue. And it's so sad to have that we have organizations and nobody's talking about murder. Nobody's talking about this femicide thing. It is only until it reaches to your house that's when you will know that femicide is something that must be stopped as soon as possible. It is everybody's responsibility. It's everybody's responsibility to stop this thing. And at this point, I want to give a few guidelines on what to do so that we can stop this thing once and for all, or even go to an extent of reducing femicide in our communities. First of all, I want us to underscore the responsibilities of every person in this world, every person in this country, and every person in this community. The law provides that, or the functions of the police in every community, and I want to underscore what is there in the country in Kenya, that the police have a role to maintain law and order in every society. And part of the responsibilities is provision of assistance to the public when in need, maintenance of law and order, preservation of peace, protection of life and property, investigations of crime, collection of criminal intelligence, and this is very important, prevention and detection of crimes. I want to talk about prevention and detection of crime and protection of life and property. How should they protect life? How should they prevent and detect crime before it happens? We know very well that our police department are so scarce that what they do is only come after event has occurred. Yes, you can see in the cases we have seen of late, the ladies that have been killed, we have them as I'm showing here on the script, the Wahoo and the other lady. I'm going to give you the details about that other lady and many more that have manifested themselves, things that have occurred. How does the police go to prevent or simply detect a crime that is yet to occur and it has not occurred? It is simply something that we have to accept in the society, that it is almost impossible for officers to stop an offense when you yourself, the neighbor or the person closer to the victim, is silent about this offense. It is worth noting that every time such an incident occurs, there is always a history of things that have been occurring. For example, the friends have always a story to tell. The friends of a victim always have a story to tell. The neighbors of the victim always have a story to tell. And the relatives of the victim also have a story to tell. Because nobody wakes up one morning and decides to kill another. There has to be a history of things that have recurred every time, and as we move on, and that's when you realize that the ultimate thing that comes at the end of the day is murder. Why would we allow such a thing to continue? Now, every person has a responsibility. For example, the friends of Wahoo have not said anything that is so crucial that I even call them, for me, I say those are not friends at all. Because if you tell me that this is somebody who has died, and you come and say that she was very good, she was very hardworking, she was loving me, that one is immaterial at the point. What signs did you notice before that time? What things did you see that are so significant that could tell signs that may lead towards this event? Can the neighbors tell us that prior to this we have had a noise, complaints, arguments, and fights? Every time they go to a restaurant, have there been fights? Have they been arguing? These are telltale signs of things that are occurring in our houses. And so, For us to be able to stop this kind of menace that is going on in our societies, we have a role as individuals in our homes. This is something that happened to our or any other person. This is outside us, but tomorrow it will be in your house. I have an advice for all of you. Volunteer information on suspicious characters or activities. Volunteer information to the chiefs, to the village elders, to the police. Volunteer information. Information remains the most effective tool for volunteers. It is the most important thing. Just give the information to the chief. That house they have been arguing overnight and there is no peace. We don't rest. That is a signal and that something might come to happen in the near future. Work closely with the police through community policing forums. In every estate, in every village, in every building, there has to be nyumba kumi, or a collection, an elder in a collection of houses, so that whenever there is an offense or a problem in a particular house, consistently, when we have noises and fights and quarrels and arguments, that report should be able to reach to the nearest administration, so that this thing can be handled beforehand. Helping the police to help you by offering any kind of support. If there is anything you have heard within the environment, it is important to involve the police. Otherwise, the police will only be coming to collect the bodies. And then we end up complaining about the same policeman, and we knew what was happening in these houses, yet we failed to do our part by reporting. Encourage greater contacts between the neighbors. Establish cohesive stay, oneness within the families, so that we are able to identify the weaknesses and the pains that the other neighbor goes through. For example, the Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. As much as you want to be secure, you are not secure when your neighbor is not secure. Supporting the victims of crime through counseling. Anytime you hear battles, arguments, quarrels, disagreements, and all kind of stuff, try to establish a counseling forum or bring in a counselor to come and visit families. We have pastors in the areas. The way we have so many churches all over the place, we have pastors, we have reliable leaders who can be approached to guide people so that we can be able to save life. Let us safeguard our neighborhoods by forming security watch schemes. It is important, not actually the vagabonds that we've seen in the society of late, but there are several systems of establishing security personalities for us to be able to monitor the movements within the environments. Security begins with oneself. It begins with you, and then it comes to me. If you don't take care of me, I will not take care of you. So let us be able to take care of one another and never take the law into your hands. Never take the law into your hands. You are a friend to the police is my friend. What the greatest weapon you have, and I must advise everybody, the greatest weapon you have is information. If you conceal information, you have simply killed your neighbor. Report any motives or any sinister movements that you see around and be able to save a life. And my last word, every hostel, every A and B or whatever lodges that people dwell in, it is important for the security personnel and the tenants, the landlords and the land agents to establish a system where the thumbprint for every person who is coming in, because identity cards can be stolen and can be misused, but thumbprints can never be misused. Let there be thumbprints, ID cards, and any other identification documents, passports, and the phone numbers which can be verified. Once we have those, then let the people use their rooms at whatever way they want to use, because people are free, businesses are free, and we cannot lock anybody's house. So if those security systems can be put in place, I think we are able to minimize. Let the church act swiftly, and let the government also act swiftly, and let us save our daughters, because now the battle between the boy child and the girl child is becoming dangerous and is becoming fatal.